rounding out the AFC is the West division, and this division it's pretty easy to pick who's going to win this division. The Kansas City Chiefs are the cream not only of the AFC West, but the AFC, and in all reality, the NFL. Basically, bar none, unless Mahomes gets hurt, we're talking about, is this team going to win the Super Bowl? It's not like, hey, could they get to the Super Bowl? They're a great shot. They still got to go through Baltimore and Tennessee and Buffalo and potentially New England, Pittsburgh. They still got to go through some talented teams in their division, in their conference. But let's be realistic. It's are they going to make the Super Bowl, and are they going to win it? And unless Mahomes gets hurt, that's what we're talking about. Offensively, I think the biggest reason they didn't win the Super Bowl last year, it was they were missing both their tackles. Mitchell Schwartz at right tackle, Eric Fisher at left tackle. Both of those guys are gone. They traded for Orlando Brown this year. He's their left tackle. They brought in Joe Thuney at left guard. Kyle Long's at right guard. He sat out a year or two. They improved the offensive line. They're deeper along the offensive line, so that definitely should help them out. The defense continues to get better. They continue to add more pieces, and this team's going to be, as long as Andy Reid's coaching it, as long as Patrick Mahomes is on it, and as long as they have those guys, Tyreek Hill, another year of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kelsey. I mean, they're loaded. We all know this. This isn't a surprise. They're my pick, not only to win this division, the conference. I have them going back to the Super Bowl, for like the third year in a row. Could have been 4 if it wasn't for D Ford. But, they're awesome. There's no other word for it. Now, who's that second team? I think it's between the Chargers and the Broncos. And I think both teams are solid. But I'm giving the nod to the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert, I was a huge fan of him coming out of Oregon. He was still my third-rated quarterback. But, Burrow, showed his little time that he was good. Tua, he hasn't really shown much. He hasn't got a ton of opportunities as well, and he's still young in his career. But, Herbert I really liked. I like his fit with the Chargers. I'm really fascinated. He came on like gangbusters last year, played really well. What's he going to be like with the full offseason to kind of build this offense around him? They got a new coaching staff. But I also think they really helped. He's got good weapons in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. But he also made some of those guys that we've never heard of have big games. And I think that's what makes a quarterback good, is he can get those guys at those other levels to, the lesser-known guys and elevate them. Another thing I loved that the Chargers did this offseason was they added to their offensive line. Getting Rashawn Slater at left tackle in the teens was highway robbery. There was talk of, would Slater go ahead of Penei Sewell, or would a team would be trading into the top 10? They got him in the teens. I think it's an absolute steal. He's going to come in at left tackle, play well. They brought in a new center from Green Bay, continuing to build up. So this offensive line is going to be much better. Defensively, they were good before, and then not only are they're going to be good again, but they're getting Derwin James back. Derwin James might be one of the better safeties in the NFL, one of the better defensive players in the NFL, and they also have a new head coach who was one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL last year, and Gus Bradley was good for them anyway, so it's not like they didn't have good coaching on defense. But, you got Joey Bosa, you got they invested in some Kenneth Murray at linebacker. They've got Derwin James, so they've got talent. They've got a guy that's shown he could be a defensive coordinator at the NFL level. They got a good young quarterback. They got weapons. They've improved offensive line. The Chargers, to me, I think, can they make the playoffs? That's the question I have. Can they make the playoffs? And I think it's going to be tough, and I think they kind of finish in that 15 range, and they make a good run at it, which is going to be helpful for Herbert's development. But I just think they're kind of lacking yet that experience, and we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, and they hit it, and they're good to go. But I think they're going to be fun to watch. All right, the Denver Broncos I have finishing third in this division. It wouldn't shock me if they finish second, just because I think they've got on paper a pretty solid team. And, you're going to need to get a few guys back. Cortland Sutton was really starting to emerge as a true number one receiver. He got hurt, missed all of last year. Judy, last year as a rookie, played, showed the ability to get open, but had issues with drops. So can he get his confidence back? Can he get back to what he was? I mean, if he could just fix his drops, big if. I mean, he showed he can be a weapon and get open. You add KJ Hamler in there, Noah Fant, Albert O. They drafted Javonte Williams out of North Carolina, a guy that I was a big fan of. I think he's going to be the number one running back halfway through the season or not sooner. And this offense has the potential to be good. But as I've said with other teams in the conference, it's all going to fall on the shoulders of the quarterback. And the Broncos are going with Teddy Bridgewater. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is a solid NFL quarterback. But he's got a ceiling. And I think this offense has the potential to really hit their stride. But how much can they be? How explosive can they be with Teddy Bridgewater? Teddy Bridgewater did well with Carolina last year. And Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore had solid seasons. But we see in the NFL, to win big, you have to have a dynamic quarterback. And Drew Lock, I thought they should have probably gone with him to start the season. He had a solid preseason. It was supposed to be neck and neck. You would think go with Drew Lock. Drew Lock's got the most potential. He's got the ability to make some, highlight reel throws. You got guys with speed. You got guys that can win contested catches. Go with Drew Lock because you can always bring Teddy Bridgewater in. Bridgewater's shown in his past that he can come off the bench and win you games. He did it with New Orleans. So why not try it again, and see? But the reason they didn't is because their head coach, Vic Fangio, is a defensive-minded coach. And they've got a good defense, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Kyle Fuller, Justin Simmons. They've got a ton of talent on this defense. And the defense is going to shut down some teams. And so Vic Fangio's kind of like, hey, I'm kind of coaching for my job. And I've got a good defense. I've got good, some talented weapons. I just need a quarterback that's not going to make mistakes. And I think that's why they went with Teddy Bridgewater. And they're hoping that the offense could be just good enough to go with the defense. It's kind of like the Chicago Bears. All those years that they made it, they had that elite defense. And they just needed the offense not to make mistakes and just score enough points to win them games. And I think that's the model that he's going for. And we'll see if it pans out. And finally, the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. This team is going to be interesting because they've got talent and there's talk like, oh, can they make that next step? I wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders' bottom just falls out. Gruden hasn't been that head coach that we thought he was going to be, this offensive guru, and it just hasn't panned out. And he's got Derek Carr, who I like as a quarterback. But once again, he's kind of that middle of the road type quarterback. And I like Josh Jacobs. He's a solid running back. But then they go out and they add Kenyon Drake, who's gonna eat some of those carries. Darren Waller's an elite tight end. Hey, he's gonna be good. But then who do they have at receiver? Henry Ruggs they drafted as the first receiver in the draft a couple years ago. He struggled to make his impact early on. Offensive line. At one point it was strong, but Hudson's gone, Trent Brown's gone. They still got Colton Miller, he's a stud. Richie Incognito's still there. Gabe Jackson is gone. So they're missing 3 or 4 of their starters from last year. I'm not set on this offense. I think the offensive line's bad. I think they're guys. Josh Jacobs is their best back, but he's probably going to be having to split time. They don't have that elite go-to receiver. I think that's going to cause the Raiders to have some issues offensively. Not to mention, their defense hasn't been good. The linebacker's been pitiful. They haven't had an edge pass rusher. We'll see if Yannick Ngakoue, a big free agent acquisition. Sounds like the Raiders tried to trade back for Khalil Mack, but the Bears said no. They went out and got Yannick Ngakoue, who was a guy that was looking to be the next premier edge rusher and just didn't really do much last year. bouncing between what the Vikings and I can't even think of who they traded him to off the top of my head. I think it was the Ravens. But they need pass rushing help. Can Ngakoue be that guy? Clelin Ferrell has been a bust. Secondary continues to have some issues. Jonathan Abram was a first-round pick that hasn't panned out as a safety. And they just have so many holes on defense, holes on the offensive line. And then they have one of the 3 toughest schedules in the NFL. And so with those, lack of, the offense, not being overly explosive, defense not being good, tough schedule, I think the Raiders are going to be in for a tough road. I would not be surprised one bit if they're picking in the top 10. Maybe they get a new general manager. I don't think they fire John Gruden because I don't think they can afford to. But it's going to be a rough year for the Raiders. I think they're going to struggle picking top 10. They're not going to be contending for that number 1 overall pick. There's too many other bad teams. But I definitely think the Raiders are going to be picking in the top 10, and we'll see what they do. Maybe they get that new quarterback that they've been rumored to be getting for, I don't know, ever since Gruden came in.